Sword of Dawn recently received a significant buff and gained popularity in the competitive scene. However, classifying this deck is difficult. Topping lists include a variant similar to Hammer Crush Deal, a variant featuring dinosaur monsters, and even a third list, integrating both styles, allowing access to a high-power deck at the cost of more bricks. This makes it very difficult to talk about in the context of tier lists or tournament preparation, as two players may be thinking about entirely different builds. Players tend to think of decks as absolutes, that there is one perfect tribute ratio or spell trap lineup, that certain decks are strictly better than others, etc. This skill and its resulting deck, or I should say decks, highlight the issue with this line of thinking. Competitive players bring their knowledge of the metagame to the table at any event they enter, but that knowledge is not perfect, and unfortunately, it will never be perfect. In terms of data collection, there is only so much we can do. Events never have more than 64 entrants. There are only a few events each week, and there are anywhere from 10 to 30 decks to experiment with before counting these subdivisions. As I discussed in a previous video on tier lists, top players aren't always trying to bring what they think is strongest. Instead, they do their best to make a meta call that beats what otherwise should be strong. For example, the cards you use against Noodles may prove poor against Sword of Dawn, and knowing what players or what decks will be popular helps you prepare. But even disregarding that, let's assume every dedicated player is trying to find the perfect 30 cards that wins every matchup and will never have a losing situation. Even if everyone was trying to do this, time marches on. A new set will come out long before the format gets solved. If you look at any historical format, you will find that the decks players thought were best at the time often turn out to be substandard compared to more recent strategies discovered years later. To be clear, I do think this is a good thing. Card games with no depth and nothing to discover lead to a bored player base, and then the game dies. And this also plays into the content release cycle. The dedicated theory crafters are a small minority of the player base, and most players are going to get bored of playing the exact same game for months on end, with no changes. Nevertheless, there are only so many weeks in between boxes, and that means a limited amount of time to develop the meta. Currently, we are what seems like a relatively healthy format, but if given a year of no new cards, things would probably stabilize and look quite different. Of course, that is never going to happen. Duel Links is going to hit end of service before they release nothing for that long. To answer the question posed by the title, I do think a variant incorporating the Dinosaurs is currently the right play. The introduction of buffered slime and the rise in popularity of Sword and Shield make the slower game plan of Dinos more appealing than betting on your Jagius connecting uninterrupted every time you draw it. The inherent resource advantage from Super King Rex allows room for more spell and trap cards, or at the very least, allows room for not bricking. Incidentally, the replays we're watching feature my Jagius against Manicus' Dinosaur build, in which Manicus scrapes out a 3-2 victory. This is just one matchup of many, and my deck was not teched for the mirror, but we can chalk it up as another small win for the Dinos. In short, this format is never going to be solved, and at the end of the day, it is a game. Use the cards that make you have fun. We aren't scientists seeking the secrets of the universe, and even if you are looking for the best deck, remember that you don't want theoretical perfection. You want the cards that beat what your opponents are using, especially in a smaller community. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I appreciate everyone who made it all the way to the end of the video, and I will see you next time.